Welcome to the show. It's your boy George Wrighster, and today we got to talk about Concepcion, Texas A&M wide receiver. He addressed his stuttering at the NFL Combine, and it warmed my heart. I'm going to explain to you why. I can't wait to talk to the young man and how this relates to the book and how it relates to me if you are new here. Now, Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel and friend of the program, Mr. Bret Bielema. Oh, they are coming out in favor of a 2014 playoff. And I'm thinking, well, duh, because you are one of those teams that is regularly going to be from 13 to 24. So you're like, yo, get us in all the time because that's going to look good on the resume. We got to talk about Mississippi, the state. Their House actually passed a no tax bill on NIL earnings. So Mississippi State, and all the rest of the colleges in there are going to benefit, and how this impacts regular citizens in the state, and also just the sentiment around them. And is this good for players overall? And speaking of good for players overall, Johnny Manziel is now mentoring another short king in Diego Pavia. I don't know how this makes a lot of sense. And yes, sometimes you are supposed to be mentored by people who didn't do it right, but I don't know. I don't know about this. And we're going to dig deep into that. And then we're going to bring in Ralph Amsden. And we got to talk about the top 5 teams that had their players combine ready. Which colleges? Because some of them showed out and some of them put out some duds. And we got to talk about the craziest individual performances at the 2026 NFL Combine and what schools they came from. Then I'm going to give you my blind ranking of the best pass catchers in college football this season coming up that are headed to the draft. And make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the show. And because sharing is caring, baby. And go over to Underdog. Download the app today and type in the code Unafraid to get $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Unafraid. Let's get to the show. All right, so first thing up today, Concepcion, Texas A&M wide receiver. He addressed the fact that he stutters at the NFL Combine. And the video of this, it warmed my heart. And I know that a lot of people won't necessarily relate to this, so let me put it in perspective. Me, George Wrighster, if you are new here, lifelong stutterer, dude I was in speech therapy from the time that I was in elementary school all the way up. And I'm actually writing a book about my experience and how I overcame it, and then how me stuttering really transformed the rest of my life in some negative and positive ways, and some life lessons. And the title of the book is going to be called Stutterbox, because that's what I was called. And there are so many negative connotations that come with it. Kids make fun of you. And the worst part of it is, even if you're a witty kid who wants to play the dozens back and wants to reply, you can't. Because as soon as you start to try to reply, and if you stutter or stammer in the process, then that's another joke. And so I know what this dude has been through. And yes, being an athlete, it does kind of save you from some of the criticism around you. But to me, this was the best thing that I saw today, because it related to me. It related to so many people out in the world. So I'm going to let you see it.
My meeting with the Bills, it went really well. I'm actually from, I was actually born in New York, in the Rock, 585. I moved out of Charlotte, when I was about 5. That is the Bills is actually my dad's favorite team. So I've been watching him. I have been watching since I was young. I've been seeing Josh Allen. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And, I'll be grateful.
There are a lot of points where, when you have to speak out in public, there's a lot of fear and trepidation inside of you, because you don't want to stutter. You want to be fluent. You want to get it all out. And being on the world stage like the combine, you could see the look in his eyes, the bravery and the confidence that he has in himself. And there's a lot of people that have that in there, and some people just hold it in. They don't want to be on the forefront of things. And so I am proud of him. I love this moment for him. So I just thought we would start out the show blessing you, blessing you with some good news so far. All right, next thing up. Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel and Illinois coach Bret Bielema, they gave their comments on the 2014 playoff, and they are both in favor of it. You got Heupel said the way college football is consistently changing, that probably makes the most sense. And Bret Bielema, friend of the program. Now, mind you, love Bret. I think it's going to amplify what we've already seen to 1,000 levels higher. And of course, every single coach that is on the fringe of the playoff is going to want this. And the reason why is because of the flip in the fan base mindset. Okay. I have been arguing with people about schedules, about how schedule making is broken and teams putting together a poor non-conference like you have with Indiana this year, Nebraska, Ohio State in 2024, like the SEC used to have prior to going to 9 conference games and mandating 10 Power 5 games, which the Big Ten now needs to absolutely do. So that's the first thing. And then I gave my opinion for schedule changing, 8 conference games, 3 games against the other Power 4 conferences, and 1 game against whoever you wanted. Data points all over the place. But that's not the point. All of these coaches and their fan bases have now been manipulated to believe that scheduling poorly in the non-conference is the way to go, because then that's going to get you more wins. And it's actually more wins that are going to get you into the playoff. No, that's not true. Texas tried to claim that it was the Ohio State win that got them out of the playoff this year. It wasn't. It was the loss to Florida. The Ohio State lost by only 7 points. That didn't hurt you. It was the fact that Texas didn't look good for the first 6 weeks of the season and then had struggle games versus Kentucky and Mississippi State as well. And they almost lost that game. And people are trying to blame the fact that like Texas and Notre Dame suffered September and October losses, and that's a flaw in the 12-team system. It's not. It's actually the thing that keeps the regular season alive, because that's not going to change scheduling. And people want free wins, easy wins. And I cannot for the life of me understand why any college football fan, when we only have 12 opportunities, guaranteed opportunities to watch our teams play every year, and to give up 3 free ones with poor non-conference games just so we can start out 3-0, do you realize how against what you actually want that is? And I know that everybody is in ring culture and that we've turned all the arguments into, oh, well, this guy doesn't have a national championship in this. But think about it deep down in your heart. What do you actually want as a fan? Yes, you want a national championship. But the thing you actually want more than anything is to be able to every single year have hope. Every single year believe that the product being put on the field, the thing that you are spending your time, spending your money, spending your energy, spending your fandom, investing in, is going to be something that you can be proud of on the field. Look at Iowa State fans. They just had their first 10-win season 2 seasons ago. They couldn't have been more happy despite not going to the college football playoff because they lost in the Big 12 championship. They were proud because they had built something. They were proud because they were looking at their fans. Well, they were looking at that team. That team plays hard. That team represents me. That team represents all the things that I love. And the And the problem with just these bad schedules is that it's actually a shortcut. It's a shortcut to trying to get to your ultimate goal. When we have to start looking at college football the same way that we look at the NBA, MLB, everything else. This is the entertainment business. And I believe that the schedules that they are going to get sorted out by the TV networks. Because if teams continuously take good games off of their schedules for the first week, 3 weeks of the season, what good TV inventory is there going to be? Maybe 1-2 good games a week? That's not what they're paying for. They are going to mandate through the conferences that there are 10, maybe even 11 Power 4 games played because they want good inventory for television. And then that goes back to the Save College Sports thing and Cody Campbell's idea that you pool media rights. But we talked about that on Thursday's show. So go back and watch that. A lot of interesting stuff there. So, yes, Josh Heupel over at Tennessee, Bret Bielema, they are those programs that are very good, but not on the elite side of things this last season. Now, granted, the year before, Tennessee made the college football playoff. They got boat raced by Ohio State at Ohio State. But Tennessee and Illinois are programs. And mind you, there are many other programs around there like that at this point in time. You have, USC is right there right now. You have Texas. They were on the outside. Vanderbilt this last year. There's a lot of teams that are in that mold, Washington even, that people want them to be in the college football playoff. Their fans want to experience it. BYU even. Utah. Their fans want to experience the college football playoff. But I do not believe that letting 24 teams in is then going to look at the regular season and they're going to say, oh, no, it's fine now. Let's schedule more good games. No, they're then going to say the teams from 25 to 35, they're then going to schedule poor non-conference games, and then it's going to trickle up. So we have to stop this altogether, keep it exclusive, and letting over, and mind you, yes, there are over 130 Division I programs in FBS. And people would tell you, well, letting 24 out of 130 is not that big of a number. No. We're talking about Power 4 teams because those are the teams that have a chance to win a national championship. As good as Boise was, as good as James Madison was, they didn't have a realistic shot to win. So the idea that then we would be letting 68 teams, we would be letting 24 out of 68 teams. We're talking about like 34% of teams in the college football playoff. No. I'm sorry, Bret. I'm sorry, Josh Heupel. You got to get into the exclusive club. We can make it 16, but that has to be the absolute cap on things. Now, let's get to talking more about legislation issues. There's another legislation issue, and this one came out in Mississippi. So the Mississippi House has passed a bill that no taxes should be paid on NIL earnings. Okay. First thing that we have to establish is that this term NIL keeps getting conflated, convoluted, and people don't always understand. So let me give you the quick version. When you see these NIL numbers for players, these are not real NIL. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. We're talking about ads. We're talking about sponsorships, all of those things. That's what NIL is. The vast majority of this money that players are getting, we're talking about 90+%, is pay for play. So they can call it NIL all they want to, but this bill is probably going to need to get some amendment. But I wanted to clear that up. So the Mississippi House has passed a bill that would exclude athletes' NIL earnings from the state's income tax. And then also, that is going to provide a recruiting advantage for Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Now, the bill is going to move its way to the state Senate. before going to the desk of Governor Tate Reeves. And you might be like, oh, that's not a bad idea. So I'm going to break down whether this is a good idea or a bad idea and the pros and cons of the whole entire thing. So Arkansas, the state of Arkansas, they passed a bill in 2025 that exempted NIL money from income taxes as well. Florida, Texas, Tennessee, there are other states, with SEC institutions that also have no income tax. Now, mind you, those states, Florida, Texas, and Tennessee already have no income tax. Now, Arkansas and Mississippi Arkansas already did it, but Mississippi is now trying to do it just for that purpose. And Representative Trey Lamar said that NIL is taking the country by storm. And other states are doing it, and I believe it's time that Mississippi starts doing this as well. And this just is another instance in the long line of states now doing college football's bidding. They are doing what they are trying to give their state an advantage to land college football recruits. But now I tell you this, it is only temporary. Look at high school. Players in high school, players were leaving Texas because they couldn't make NIL money. There was NIL issues between the private schools and the public schools in the state of North Carolina. All of these things have since changed because they don't want their kids leaving the state. They don't want them having a negative opinion of it at all. So now you got lawmakers now incentivized to do things to help college football. Now, mind you, I'm not totally against this. I'm going to give you the pros and the cons in a minute. Now, this is the second move because you've already had Missouri, the state of Missouri and the state of Texas, who have passed bills in recent years that prevent the NCAA from launching investigations into NIL activities. And Missouri's law even allows high school recruits to enter NIL deals with the colleges and start earning endorsement money. It ain't really no endorsements because they don't even have any value. Think about this. Travis Hunter, when he came out of high school, was the number one player, stone cold, out of high school. How much NIL value did he really have? Could he sell shoes? Could he do nothing? But could he, at a car dealership? Not even then so much. He isn't even a name brand on campus yet. He's just a hopeful. So now let's break down the pros and cons of this whole situation. Here are the pros. Number one, most sensible people believe that players should be paid, right? That they should be able to receive compensation and receive financial earnings because they generate a lot of revenue. Okay. So that's the first thing. We're not going to get into the salary cap right now and all of that because we've talked about that extensively. But young people, they are inevitably going to have tax issues. That is the truth. That is one of the pros, is that if they are exempt from income tax, they can't have tax issues. And then that kind of shields the states from being able to try to say, it shields the universities, from being held liable from not educating players on tax laws and all of this stuff and just the education, financial education that goes along with it. So that's the first thing. So that's definitely a pro. The other thing is that most of the players on teams who are getting NIL money, whether it's softball, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whoever's getting any NIL money, most of the players receiving it are not receiving significant money. They're receiving 25, 50, 100,000. Like we're not talking millions for the majority of players. And then and I know for a fact, a lot of these players are then paying bills back with their families at home. That's what's happening to a lot of their NIL money. Yes, they're wasting $5,000 on Frenchies, on the dogs and chains and all that sort of stuff. Some of them absolutely are. But a lot of their money is going home to support families. So those are the pros of it. But now the cons of it are, number one, we have gotten to the point where players making money is now making fans, some fans, resentful of the players. The people who are actually paying tax money are looking at this like, yo, why should they be exempt? Why? They are adults who can make money, so why should they not have to pay taxes? That is one con of it. Another con of it is colleges are supposed to be places of learning, okay? We are not taught in high school and college how to balance a checkbook, how to be financially responsible. All the things that you actually need to be learning in school, we're not teaching in school. So those are the things that now you would say, well, they are adults. They're making money. They should have to learn these things, and this is an education. So that's the other con of it, is that you are now denying them the opportunity that is then when they get out into the real world, they're going to think, oh, wait, I don't have to pay taxes. It's going to be a new foreign concept to them. So those are the pros and those are the cons to it. Now, the other part is it's not a level playing field, but neither is a level playing field for everybody else in America either. I live in California. My tax rate is different. When I lived in Florida, when I was playing with the Jaguars, I had no state tax. So there are pros and cons, which we all have choices to make about where we live, where we go to school. All of these things can factor in, and those things make a lot of sense. So I am not one that is going to back this, but I'm also not going to bash it. Because I understand the pros and the cons. And mind you, I got kids that are going to be passing through this NIL situation. Got a kid who's had NIL deals. Got another kid who's going to be coming up with NIL deals. So yes, I want them to make as much money as possible. But I do understand that this is a thing for fans. And you guys leave down in the comments, are you in favor of it? Are you against it? Whatever. Another thing. What are we for and what are we against? So, Diego Pavia, kid who's been a lightning rod for fans, for Vanderbilt fans. Going into last season, he was on Bussing with the Boys down in other conferences besides the SEC, saying he was going to win the Heisman Trophy. He said F the Heisman voters, so he was saying F me and everything else. So he's now being mentored by Johnny Manziel. And honestly, this gave me a little bit of pause, right? Because on one hand, I do firmly believe that a lot of times the best mentors for people who have been on the wrong track or are headed the wrong way are people who have been down that path and have come back and are like, yo, you don't want to go down here. That's a dark place. It is hard for drug addicts to, like people who are recovering drug addicts, it is easier for them to hear somebody who's been on the floor shaking, who's gone through withdrawal and all of that stuff, to hear the message from them than somebody that just says, hey, don't do drugs. They're bad for you. Here are the things that can happen. Sometimes it's easier for people to hear one thing or the other. So on one hand, I'm like, Johnny Manziel actually might be the best mentor for him. But the issue with Johnny Manziel is that he doesn't feel like Maurice Claret or Michael Vick or Ryan Leaf. Like those dudes who have gone through the whole process. They've done things wrong and have come back and redeemed themselves. And those are the guys that I'm like, yeah, those are mentors. But even when we've seen Johnny Manziel on the documentary, it wasn't full contrition. It wasn't full, he's on the right path now. So how much can he help? And Diego Pavia gave a comment about him. He said, quote, he's given me what to look out for, what it's like, and how to stay in the process of going to the NFL scouting combine. He said, and he's given me some good advice for sure. And he always reaches out, checks up on me, and makes sure I'm good. He's just a friend to me, and he's given me mentorship. He's been around me. He's been around my family. Just a great person for those that don't really know him. Now, I don't know Johnny Manziel. Might be a great person. And there's some part of me that has a little bit of empathy for him. And then I blame guys like Cliff Kingsbury and his former head coach at Texas A&M. You got a player showing up drunk and you're like, well, let's just let him ride. Instead of what I would do as a father, stuff got to change, man. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. And the fact that they let him do it is a failure on those coaches at Texas A&M. So I'm just saying that. So that's one part of it. So I hope and I pray that Johnny Manziel is imparting some wisdom onto Diego Pavia and not being like John Morant's dad and just, enabling a situation of bad decisions because it can unravel very fast. And I know that Pavia, he may go undrafted or but he's not going to be a very high draft pick. So he's not going to have the same media scrutiny and spotlight as Johnny Manziel, but hopefully it gives him some good advice. But you guys, we're going to bring Ralph Amsden in just a minute. But I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, because playing on Underdog is very easy. Go on Underdog, use code Unafraid for $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Unafraid. It is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on their stat lines, whether it's points, rebounds, steals, whatever sport that you're going to play. And Underdog, make picks, win money. You must be 18 or over, 19 in Alabama and Nebraska and Colorado for some games, and 21 or over in Arizona, Maine, and Virginia, and present and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-MY-RESET or 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org, and in Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text Next Step to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 476-369. Now, let's get to our man, Ralph Amsden. Now I'm with my man, Ralph Amsden, a.k.a. Rain Man, the man who knows all the things that you wish you knew, but then when you learn them, sometimes you're like, I don't know if I know. I wish I didn't know that. But we got to talk about the top 5 schools that had their guys combine ready this year. And I know that some of this factors into recruiting, because when you get 5-star guys, they're supposed to go to the combine and do well, right, Ralph? Because they're supposed to be first-round picks. But when you get, last year and the year before, I think, what was it, like 40 or 60% of 5-stars went undrafted? I don't know. Yeah. So, but anyways, though, we had a couple of schools, and I'll let you go first, Ralph.
You want me to rip just the top school off the bat, so you're not the one saying it?
No.
Make it look like it's not an inside job here.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I do think the Oregon Ducks have a lot to be proud of with this year's combine, and we knew to some extent that they were going to show out because of who. There's a few guys who came in who were just absolute athletic freaks, and Oregon brought one of them. But you kind of have to look at what they were able to do overall. And I think Oregon is often lauded for having a state of the art strength and training program there for the football players. So to me, Oregon belongs on the list of schools that I think did the best job of preparing their participants. And it's not just Kenyon Sadiq. So I'm curious what you thought about some of the rest of the results that came through.
Yeah, and I think we got to give their strength coach Wilson Love a lot of credit. And people talk. It's funny because fans want to discount strength and conditioning and development at a program, especially if anybody was a transfer for there. They want to minimize that, but the player wasn't looked at as as a stone cold first round pick or second round pick prior to this. So yes, they deserve credit at the strength and conditioning coach level. But then when they watch their team get pushed around, like, we need a new strength and conditioning coach. We're getting too many guys hurt. Strength and conditioning coach. So just saying. So Wilson Love got to get a lot of credit. And a lot of that is going to be pointed to really three guys, where you had Kenyon Sadiq, Dylan Thieneman, safety, and Malik Benson. They all ran 4.3, right?
Yes, three guys running a sub 4.4 is pretty wild. I don't think anybody else in the country had three guys go below 4.4, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of schools had two,
Yep.
but nobody had three guys under 4.4.
And remember, like, that the thing that we kept hearing about this Oregon team from last year was, they're so fast. They're so fast. They're so fast. Every coach that they played against talked about how fast they were. And this just proves how fast that they really were. And Kenyon Sadiq ran the fastest 40 time in combine history for a tight end. That is, and for years, people have been telling me, physical freak. He's the best athlete on our team. So it wasn't just that. He jumped 40. What did he jump? 43 and a half in the vertical.
43 and a half in the vertical, yes.
Broad jumped 11.1. This dude got created in a lab. In the same lab that they created LeBron in Kobe, like that, those that in the set. Well, I'll say Myles Garrett, LeBron James, and Kenyon Sadiq all came from the same factory. They all came from the same assembly line. And then
10th
you had
highest. That was the 10th highest vertical ever, by the way.
yes.
And multiple people from this combine actually jumped into that top 10, including another tight end who had the highest vertical ever recorded.
Stowers.
Yeah, out of Vandy.
From Vanderbilt. Dude,
Yeah.
Watching the combine this year, Ralph, was probably the most incredible thing, because it was like you were watching players on steroids. you're like, how is everybody this fast?
Yeah.
This was one of the fastest. This was the fastest combine that we've ever seen. This was the highest vertical jumps we've ever seen. I'm like, is everybody wearing Victory insoles or something?
Right.
that they bought them all off. They got special shoots. Something is weird. Either that or we got just a special year.
We had 8 players coming into 2026 that had ever jumped 43 and a half or higher. 8. And now we have 13. they must have had a springboard there or something like that, because the numbers are crazy. And for Kenyon Sadiq to do it, I mean, but I don't think anybody was surprised at what he was able to pull. The other thing about Oregon, Noah Whittington, 24 on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't do
And
anything else.
Oregon running backs have been very physical as of late.
Yes, and he didn't do anything else because he's still recovering from injuries. But this is also one of the things that is terrible about the college football schedule. If you played in the national championship, you barely had a month to heal up and then train for the combine. A month, as opposed to if it's over January 1st. You're going to have an opportunity to have 2 full months, basically, before your workout time, which is ideal. But they don't care about that. You also had Jaden Kennedy. He worked out well. Bryce Betcher, he worked out well. But Isaiah World with the torn ACL did not, and Noah Whittington still healing up as well. But can we talk about an exciting white?
Hold on. Before we get to exciting whites, there is one Oregon Combine participant that you have not mentioned that I'm going to need you to mention because I got to get my secondhand credit for the development that happened before the development.
Who's that?
Mr. Emmanuel Pregnon, former University of Wyoming
Oh,
legend.
I thought I mentioned it. Wait. Time out. Pregnon went to Wyoming?
He
before
did.
He went to USC?
Yep.
Oh, USC people tried to take all the credit for him. Oh, USC, you got it from somebody else. Look at you. Don't do that.
So they make it a habit. And I can't imagine being a kid in Laramie, Wyoming, and Southern California comes calling. It's gonna be hard to say no. But Solomon Byrd, Emmanuel Pregnon, they've done this a few times where they've come and got one of Wyoming's best players. And but yeah, Pregnon he's officially a Duck because I think he was there for a couple of years, right? So
no, he was only there for one, his best and most impressive one. So it's good.
Maybe he is part Trojan.
Yes, and we got to talk about the exciting white. I actually hope he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So like now they won't have just two exciting whites. They will have three exciting whites. On the defense in the secondary, 3 white DBs? What? I love it, dude. So quick story. When I was playing with the Jaguars, one of our offensive coordinators, I won't name his name. He was a white man. And whenever we used to have a white DB come into the game, now mind you, there were no white corners starting after Jason Sehorn that were starters. So he would say, he was like, we have a call, but there were some that were backups. White DB comes in. He would yell out, white DB, throwing at him immediately. That's racist. It's racist. So that's why I'm not going to call his name.
I just want to say thank you for being an ally.
Hey, man, I do what I can do to support a marginalized community, man.
Appreciate it.
All right. The next team that had their dudes combine ready, Ohio State. The Ohio State Buckeyes. Lorenzo Styles. Sonny Styles.
Asterisk.
Why did they get an asterisk? I know their genes are tremendous.
Yeah. Because we got some LeVar Ball action.
Their father was created in the same lab as Kenyon Sadiq, LeBron, and Myles Garrett.
Here's why I guess you do have to give Ohio State credit for Lorenzo Styles Jr. and Sonny Styles, because Lorenzo Styles Sr. is a Buckeye, right?
Yep.
That's it. Yeah. Even though Lorenzo Jr. was originally at Notre Dame playing wide receiver, but good God, the Ohio State players getting off the bus at the combine, like what a bunch of freaks.
They're like the Monstars, just shaking the ground. Boof, boof, boof. Now they had and obviously Caleb Downs is impressive. McDonald did not have the greatest combine. He didn't look as athletic, apparently, as some people thought for a space-eating guy. But Lorenzo Jr., like we were just talking about, he went, 4.27? Fastest time by a DB.
Yeah.
Sonny Styles, 6'5", 245. Everybody's talking about Arvell Reese. This dude's a freak. 11.2 broad jump. 4.47 40, 43.5 vertical jump. Bro, this is insanity. This is absolute insanity.
You remember the other day when you mock drafted Sonny Styles to the Cardinals at number 3, and I said I would quit being a Cardinals fan?
Yep.
I would like to just retract that statement. just in case.
Dude, he is a tackling machine. See, I tried to bless you, but just like a typical Cardinals fan, you don't want to accept good things. You're not used to having nice things. You want a undersized misfit toy that only works in very specific situations. So yeah.
I feel like that's Buda Baker slander, but you're an Oregon Duck, so what are you going to do?
Oh, Buddha. Oh, okay. All right. Next team up, the Oklahoma Sooners. They had their teams ready. They had their players ready. D tackle Grayson Halton, 4.82 at 293.
Why? What do you need that for?
Exactly. The Dominic Williams, defensive lineman, 30 on the bench press. That's highly impressive. Dion Burke and Robert Spears at DB both ran 4.3s, and then had the fourth fastest tight end time and fifth most bench press tight end reps for Jaron Kinnick. Bro, this is
if I'm a Purdue fan, I'm a little bit sad after watching Dion Burks and Dylan Tiananmen. I mean, that the two of the most impressive players at the combine used to be Boilermakers. But the interesting thing about this Oklahoma group is I don't feel like they had a ton of star performers. I think they were just kind of solid all around. And their tight end, he was on the team for 4 years. He had 44 career catches. They all came this year. So he just sitting in the weight room preparing for 1,000 days.
When you get your chance, you got to show up.
Yeah.
Show
up.
But
a 4.840 for an interior defensive lineman.
So that's one of the things that's actually scary in the NFL that people don't always know is that it's not just that players are good and they're older and they're stronger. The windows close so fast compared to college. Like you think that if you have this much, well, in college, sometimes you can get open by like 2 feet. In the NFL, open is 6 inches. Quarterback's got to be able to throw it in a shoebox, and you got to be able to catch it while you're being hit. It is like, and then for a running back, he'll catch it. He'll grab the handoff. He's like, "Ooh, I got to touch that! Oh my God, it's a 3-yard gain." Where did he come from? Because they are moving that fast. So shout out to Oklahoma's Jerry Schmidt, and I know that he is retiring as their strength and conditioning coach, and James Dobson is taking over, but we forgot to mention him. And then Mickey Mariotti over at Ohio State as well. So good job on Oklahoma having them dudes ready. Good job on the head coach getting a good strength and conditioning coach, and then also good job on recruiting too, because recruiting helps.
Yeah, we got to talk about Georgia too, and I've maybe some mixed feelings on this one for some people because it's not their best combine representation they've ever had. But I kind of feel like they got to get a legacy mention at this point because when I saw the list of combine invitees, I was like, why is Dylan Bell and Kobe Young even get to go?
Hold on for a second. I know you guys are right in the middle of a great video, but make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. One of the fastest growing college football channels on YouTube. Get back to your regularly scheduled program.
Like, there's plenty of receivers who did a lot in college football this year. We got 2 extra Georgia players taking those slots who actually
taking spots of deserving players.
Yeah, I mean, like Kobe Young played 13 games in 2 years as a Georgia Bulldog and had 40 catches. Dylan Bell was never really a star, but Dylan goes out there, he runs a 4.5 40 with a 39-inch vertical. Like that's gonna let somebody out there know that you're draftable, right? And then you got Zach Branch showed out on the bench, showed out in the 40. I think he tripped and still ran a 4.36 or something like that.
Yeah, he was a fast track kid coming out of high school, and it probably is easier when you're not carrying any more weight than you were in high school and the same height that you were in high school. Where like a lot of people are 20, 30, 40 pounds heavier and moving that a lot of weight. He's like, nope, I'll just put on about 8 pounds, 10 pounds from high school and just run real fast.
Yeah, and I thought Micah Morris going out there and lifting a bunch. I think there's kind of a slandered Georgia O-line this year. It's funny how Georgia's like, one game away from a CFP semifinal, and everyone's like, oh, what a collection of junk they had there this year.
They're like, oh my God, this is just a terrible Georgia team. Only won the SEC and then in the college football quarterfinals. They're bums.
Right, exactly. But they go in, and I'm like, do these guys really deserve spots in the combine? And then they were respectable, and so I think you got to show Georgia some respect there.
Definitely do. I think that is a good thing. Now and their strength and conditioning coach, Scott Sinclair. So good job on him for the legacy of Georgia. Not necessarily this year as much, but they have been putting out absolute studs.
Yeah.
You look at the whole Philadelphia Eagles defense and you see what has been going on at Georgia. You look at some of them were created in labs, but they also have to still be developed. All right. Nobody would ever guess the number 5 team, Ralph. Nobody would ever guess the number 5 team. So we've already had Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Georgia as the best teams that had their players ready. If I told you it was another SEC, and you guys try to guess in the comments right now, who's the 5th team? SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12. Who do you think it is that players absolutely showed out? And no, it is not from a team that made the playoffs. It is not from a team who was anywhere close to the playoffs. It is not from a team that has a stable head coaching situation. It is not from a team that anybody would have thought, but they had some freak shows. And that is Arkansas. Their old strength and conditioning coach, Ben Souders. He's now at Troy because obviously Arkansas staff got fired. But now their new strength and conditioning coach is Noah Franklin, who came over with Ryan Silverfield, who's now their new head coach. So they absolutely showed out. Their quarterback, and I know that he came from Boise State originally, Taylor Green, but he was there for multiple years. This dude, Ralph, absolute insanity. Absolute insanity, Ralph. I was shocked. He's one of what would he have, the fastest or the second fastest 40 for a quarterback ever. Highest vertical, highest everything. And what's the first thing everybody says?
Is he a quarterback?
Yeah, they're like, oh, maybe we switch from the wide out. So yes, and I know that.
My question is: he a football player? Like I saw that and I was like, oh, can he catch a lob? Can he play some 3-and-D wing defense?
Dude, because he's tall, he's athletic, you might not be wrong. And yes, he did not throw the ball amazing at the combine, had some inaccuracy issues, but he is an absolute quarterback. Doesn't mean he's an NFL quarterback, but he reminds me of, if you're going to allow me to say this, because he didn't do as many of the drills at the combine, is oh my gosh, Alabama's quarterback that's with the Seahawks now.
Oh yeah. It's
Lane.
bad when Alabama misses the national championship just once and we can't remember who the quarterback is.
Oh my God,
that's so bad and embarrassing.
It starts with an M. Wow, why?
I'm not even going to look it up. I deserve to be embarrassed. I deserve this.
Jalen Milroe. Jesus Christ.
We're talking about a Super Bowl champion.
That is bad. That is bad. That lets you know how far out of sight, out of mind gets you real quick. So, but that's who he reminds me of. He reminds me of even a more athletic Jalen Milroe. And if he can sit for a while, he might be a Malik Willis. He might have an opportunity to have a career like that, where Malik had to play at Tennessee early for the Titans. Everybody, oh, he's a bum, he sucks, all of this stuff, and then you had, then they drafted the savior from Kentucky in the first round. He didn't work out, and now Malik Willis is about to get $300 million.
On top of that, Mike Washington went off.
The running back?
Yeah. He did. Yeah, he did. Julian Neal had a 40-inch vert. He was number 1 in the entire combine in broad jump and number 3 in bench reps for DBs. And Fernando Carmona put up good weight in for the offensive line in the bench reps. They had a bunch of invitees and they showed out, and probably also justified that maybe there should have been a coaching change. But you know what? A lot of these guys were on offense and they did score. You got to give them that. They scored a lot of points.
And Mike Washington, his combine performance was so impressive because he's a running back. And you're like, okay, yes, there are sometimes running backs that run 4.3, but not at 6'1", 225.
No. That's David Johnson territory, man.
Bro, that's
incredible.
Scary.
Yeah.
That is scary. So he's a dude that might have a very good NFL career. Very good NFL career, especially if he can block some too. Ooh, he gonna have a shot. Worst case scenario, he can be a special teams demon and make a lot of money for a long time.
And I don't think you have to worry about usage rate with him because, yeah, he had 3,400 total yards, 30 touchdowns in college, but he only hit 20-plus carries twice in his whole 51-game career. And last year is really when he started to come into his own. He had over 100 yards against Texas, over 100 against A&M and Tennessee.
Yeah, that's like some Willie Parker at North Carolina territory. Then he goes to the Steelers, and you're like, where the hell did that guy come from?
Right.
Super Bowl MVP, all right, but there were some teams that we were disappointed in at the combine, and 2 of them really stuck out.
Yeah.
And that was Texas Tech and LSU. And we were sitting there looking at it like, come on, man, what are we doing? What are we doing, fam? Because LSU, who they are expected to have one of the top corners drafted, and with the amount of talent that you had on the team, Brian Kelly being in his 4th year there, you can't blame it on anything. And you look at what happened at the quarterback position. You look at, this team that I got convinced, but I let other people convince me last year, and I will never do this again. LSU, they are ready. They are a national championship contender. They're going to contend for the SEC. And I knew better. See, this is why sometimes outside influences, they can play with you. It happened to me last year with LSU. I got convinced on them bad, and them and Texas Tech did not show up at the combine. And David Bailey for Texas Tech, who's an amazing athlete, amazing DN, rushing the passer. Arms were a little shorter than we were expected. And he ended up, he did not look good in the change of direction drills. So it's going to be hard. So it makes you wonder, can you drop him in space at all? So that if not, that eliminates all 3-4 teams. And you wonder about his change of direction a little bit, but he was late. Like the film doesn't match the workout. So that's going to be a downer for some people. I'm still drafting him extremely high. But maybe he looks better at his pro day. And then Lee Hunter, the big space eater in the middle, he looked like a big space eater. He did not have the athleticism of like a Vince Wilfork or other guys we've seen that have been huge in the middle. He looks like a guy who's just going to be, handle the double teams and, a space eater. And that is going to give. So I believe that Lee Hunter, he actually might fall out of the first round because of that. Because his vertical was like a low 20s. It just wasn't like emblematic of a very good athlete, which is what they want.
Yeah, this is one of those things where Georgia brought a bunch of wide receivers that didn't show out in college, and I was like, why are they here? And then they kind of did some positive things, and LSU was in the same boat. When you see Aaron Anderson and you're like, how did a 5'8", 29-inch arm guy get invited when he didn't show out? And I think he even left early. Yeah, LSU. And then he gets the 42nd overall ranked athleticism score because he's 5'8" and has only a 30-inch vertical and doesn't participate in any of the rest of the stuff. You have Xavier Thomas go out there and run a sub 4.3 40, which is incredible, right? But then you look at the fact that he's 5'10" and his vert was only 36 inches. And then Chris Hilton is like 29th, I think, in wide receiver athleticism score, and Berrien Brown is 24th. So they got 4 wide receivers there, and Xavier Thomas runs fast, but doesn't really show enough of anything else to, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see of these 4 guys, do even half of them get drafted, and do any of them get drafted above 6th, 7th round? Xavier Thomas may be off his speed. Maybe you can get him in the return game or something like that. But even in the broad jump, they only had 3 guys participate, no one over a 10-2. So, I was disappointed in LSU for sure. And then all we hear about is Texas Tech has all these monsters, and it feels like maybe they just didn't prepare for this specific thing, like they're going off tape alone or something.
Yeah. All right. And there were some notable combine performances that we wanted to bring up as well from some colleges. And one of them was from where is it from? From New Mexico State, Buffalo. Ralph, they had players that showed out.
Oh, no. That was you're reading my notes there. Mike Washington was at Buffalo and New Mexico State before he was. Yeah, so I wanted to include that Mike Washington, because a lot of people said, the best running back 40, one of the best individual performers. He went to Buffalo, he went to New Mexico State, and then he had that final year at Arkansas. But we kind of already talked about him and Taylor Green. Those are the 2 major highlights for individual performances. But your guys that you were really curious to see did show out, the cornerback duo from Washington, Ephesians Prysock and Zakario Davis.
When I saw them in person, I thought they were wide receivers. When I was up there interviewing Jed Fish last year, Zakario Davis, Ephesians Prysock. I haven't seen Ephesians since he was in high school, like prior to when we were up there. And I was shocked. I was like, these are corners? And then that makes you wonder, okay, 6'3", 6'4" corners, maybe 4 or 5 guys. No, they were fast. 4 guys, and they were physical. Like, they are willing to go in there and tackle. They don't panic in coverage. These 2 dudes could they remind me a little bit of Lenny Williams, who used to play for the Broncos. He was like 6'5" at corner, and it was like a freak show. Except for these
Broncos
dudes,
love those tall corners.
Yeah, except for these dudes might be better. They are physical freaks. So that's my comparison for them would be Lenny Williams. And then I forgot to tell you guys, when we were talking about Taylor Green earlier, his situation reminded me of my former teammate. So Taylor Green, Arkansas quarterback, he goes out there 6'6", 227, runs 4.36, 43 and a half inch vertical, 97 on the athleticism score. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of Matt Jones. When I was in Jacksonville, Arkansas had a quarterback. He was an exciting white. And, Arkansas was just okay. He goes to the combine, 6'6", ran 4.3. He's got like a little swag to him. And now, mind you, he's not a quick twitch athlete, though, but he is fast. Jaguars draft him first round. I was shocked when the name came. I was like, Matt Jones? What? And now, mind you, there's nothing wrong with converting players. There is nothing wrong with, drafting a guy like that. But he had never played wideout. And he had never even run enough to play he ran a lot in their system. He was basically an option quarterback, but it wasn't wide receiver preparation. And so to try to stash him for years didn't make sense, but he had very good ball skills, but he wasn't a wide receiver yet. If they drafted him 4th, 5th, 6th round, his career, I believe, goes a lot better than if drafting him in the first round, because Jack Del Rio also, he did Matt Jones and he did Reggie Williams a disservice as well with how he treated them as rookies. They didn't have to go to special teams meetings. They didn't have to earn anything. And that's what I believe kept them from having very, very good NFL careers, aside from being overdrafted.
So Taylor Green, he's 13 pounds lighter than Matt Jones was coming out of. So I mean, we've had guys come in and convert to tight end or wide receiver. Felipe Franks. What's odd about this? Felipe Franks is Arkansas, Matt Jones is Arkansas, Taylor Green is Arkansas. I'm sensing a theme, but there's other guys. Logan Thomas came out at like 250. Tried to do the quarterback thing, and then had a pretty good career in the NFL as like a blocking. Like he could do it all at tight end. He actually learned the position, which I know you appreciate. You were pretty pissed about the whole Tim Tebow thing when it happened. But so Taylor Green, if they were to move him, I mean, it's probably wide receiver and that's it, right? Like there's no.
I mean, had he been training for it for a while, he'd probably be a very good safety. Very good safety.
At 6'6"?
Yep. Like a nice free safety, especially if he's willing to come down and stick his face in there. Ooh, that'd be good.
I'd like to see him out here trying to block extra points. Like just getting that running jump, 44-inch vertical.
Oh, that's a gimmick. That's a gimmick. I hate that altogether. But you gave me a linebacker when we were talking. Kyle Lewis.
That's one of your guys. That was one of your underrated players. We made a video heading into the 2025 season. You love Kyle Lewis.
Yeah, but he was a little smaller because he measured at 6 feet 220 and at linebacker. And I was like, oh, I've seen this guy before on a football field, play well for a long time. And that's Cato June, who used to play for the Indianapolis Colts. Undersized linebacker, Tampa 2 guy. He was physical as he could be at 6 feet tall. Part of a very good defense. I believe that this kid can be too. And then Zachariah Branch, I think that he's got Zay Flowers territory because he's super fast, catches the ball, little jitterbug, and I think he can be what I think people thought that the late Rondell Moore, that what he could have been.
Yeah, I worry about Zachariah Branch just because we have 3 years of data at the college football level of him being used as a possession wide receiver. We know he's a 4.35 guy. Is he just being misused, or
he can't get on top of people like that?
Dang, that's what I'm worried about for him. Because Zay Flowers, he was getting 15, 16 yards a catch sometimes at Boston College. And Zach Branch is back-to-back seasons sub 11 yards per reception.
Ooh, well, they, yeah. Yeah, they throw a lot of screens to him. So maybe he's a slot guy because he is very quick.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, a first down's a first down. If he
First
can get
down
it
is
for
a
you,
first down.
why not?
Um, and we did have another question, and that was about, well, you asked me a question about D'Angelo Pons, short king corner out of Indiana.
Yeah. He had what, a 43 and a half inch
Yeah.
vertical. He's 5'9". Is that enough to make up for the height concern? He obviously is incredible in coverage, but the NFL is a different beast. Like you know, look at some of these receivers that he would have to match up one-on-one with that are coming out, George. That kid out of North Dakota State, NDSU, Trey Lance, his brother, Bryce Lane is 6'3", 210 and runs a 4.35.
Yep.
Is that somebody D'Angelo Pons can handle one-on-one in the NFL? Because that's standard for your NFL wide receiver.
Pons could be an anomaly. He's such a dog, but I do think he will have trouble versus bigger receivers in the NFL because ball placement is so much better. And I do think he's going to have some struggles there. I do. But if he can play well in the slot, he's worth drafting third round, I believe. And you might be able to sneak him late too as well, because if he can cover in the slot at a high level, which we haven't seen a ton of because he was playing outside.
Some other questions I have for you from the combine, George. I don't know if you saw this, but Jordan Tyson came one short of the wide receiver record for bench press reps at 225. He hit 26. However, his hips were coming off the bench.
Dude, he was doing the back arch. First of all, as long as my wideout does 18, I'm good, because that means he's actually spending time in the weight room. And Tyson is tall and he's got long arms, and long arms are harder to bench well. So he did 26. Maybe without the air humping, he might get you 21. That's okay to me. I don't, anything over 17, 18 at wide receiver. I'm comfortable with your strengths. Like I don't need David Boston at wide receiver. Like, big muscle bound wide receivers, I just haven't seen them be highly successful. So
I love the David Boston reference. Of course, broke the heart of my all-time favorite college football team, 1996 Arizona State Sun Devils, lost in the Rose Bowl to
Ohio State
on a David Boston, touchdown catch. But for anybody listening to this, if you want a nice little treat, you need to Google David Boston nipple ring.
Oh my God.
It is the funniest. It might be the funniest sports story ever written. And it was like the end of David Boston's time with the Arizona Cardinals. He'd probably been juicing. He was more concerned with his body than he was like being a football player.
Dude, he was taking almost 100 pills a day. and he would at lunch, like right before lunch, somebody would take his blood and they would be like, "Oh, you need more potassium. You need this. You need more of that." So he would put together his pill concoction every day.
But he got his leading into, I got to be like maybe the 02 season, 03 season. He got his nipples pierced, and he was telling people not to hit him in practice because his nipples were sensitive. And some sports reporter, I wish I could remember who it was. It's still online. You can find it. Some sports reporter wrote about it, about how he was being soft and didn't want his nipple rings to be agitated. And I'll never forget. It's the funniest sports story I've ever read. But yeah, what a physical freak. So back to the Jordan Tyson thing, though. He was coached by Mr. No Block, No Rock himself. That's a Hines Ward guy.
Yep.
Any concerns at all outside of health with him?
No. I think he's a very good wide receiver, and I'm excited to watching the kid play.
Speaking of concerns, a top 10 consensus top 10 offensive tackle might not be a tackle, George, after the combine. Spencer Fano, 32 and 1/8 inch arm length. Do you think this causes him to slide? And because of Will Campbell and his performance in the Super Bowl, do you think people are going to start looking at him as an interior lineman based on the arm measurement alone?
Yes and no. So Spencer Fano, who I got a chance to interview when he was over at Utah, like him a lot, very personable kid. Him and Caleb Lomu spent time with both of them. Spencer is thin for a tackle. I remember when he was coming out of high school, he was only like 260 coming out of high school. And
Kyle Whittingham special.
Yeah. But I mean, he was highly recruited. Oregon wanted him. Everybody wanted him, but he was thin. The idea of him moving interior, he would be a great athlete inside, but it doesn't feel like he has enough mass to play guard. Like he would be a huge guard without the same mass. So that would be a little concerning. But I think the Will Campbell thing was completely overblown. It feels like a footwork issue. And when I've talked to George Foster and other tackles, and then you had Mitchell Sports weigh in on it too. He talked about how a lot of this can be worked on with Will Campbell, and I think it's the same thing with Fano, but it does raise a concern about him being ready to play week one. Because a lot of times you draft a tackle in the first round, and especially a top 10 pick, he's more than likely good enough to be a starter. So if he's not, that means that you should be drafting him late first round, early second.
Another player that their draft stock might have slipped a little bit based on the combine, but we got a crafty agent out there trying to do some damage control, and that is Carnell Tate. For some people, he's wide receiver 1. He ran a 4.5 240. We've seen him play. We know that he can ball, but his agent comes out,
and
lets
he can
Adam
get on
Schefter
top
know.
of people.
Yeah, he can.
And make contested catches.
His agent made sure to let Adam Schefter know, who let millions of us know, that some of the people who are hand timing the 40 actually had him at a 4.47. What do you think about that?
Of course,
George?
some of the people that were hand timing Kenyon Sadiq probably had him at 4.32. Instead of 4.39, had him at 4.32. Of course, hand times are usually always faster. That's why they do electronic times. Making too much out of 40 times, I'm not going to do it. But if his agent knew, because he's a consensus first round pick, if his agent knew that he could possibly run a 4.5, he should have done exactly what Jackson Smith and Jigba did. Basically, don't run the 40. I don't think Jackson Smith and Jigba ran a 40. I don't think he ran it at his pro day. Nowhere.
He did run it. He did run it at his pro day, and you'd be surprised to know that it was basically a 4.5.
Yeah.
It was what Carnell Tate did.
Yes. So don't go do it twice. Only do it once. And do it at your pro day if you know that the film don't match the 40 time. And granted, Jerry Rice ran 4.5 too. And people are like, oh, he couldn't get open now. Did you see them routes? Come on, man.
Right. A couple other things that came out of the combine. Some people actually, I think, boosted their draft stock. I don't think anybody's heard Jonah Coleman talk before. And this is a smart kid.
He's super smart. He's like a 4.0 student. And
yeah. And this is this whole group we're talking about from Washington, they were all at Arizona with Jed Fish. They followed him to Washington. And he came out in the media session. He said, you're not going to play if you can't pass protect. You can't play if you're not going to protect the quarterback. If you're paying him $100 million and you're paying me $2 million, who's more important? That's part of being selfless, part of the game. Like if the $2 million guy can't block for the $100 million guy, then what's he worth? And I thought that was one of those things that,
gets it. He gets it. He's coached by one of the best running back coaches in college football, Scotty Graham, former Ohio State Buckeye, former as a player, was an admin at Arizona State. So yeah, I believe that Jonah Coleman is going to have a good NFL career, particularly if he keeps himself in shape. Because 2 years ago he looked like a little dually, looked like a little bowling ball. But aside from that, I'm excited about him.
And then the last thing I hate to bring this up, George. Actually, no, I think it's hilarious. I don't know if it helps his draft stock. I don't know if it hurts his draft stock. I don't really know what to think at all. But what in the hell was Makai Lemon doing in his media availability at the NFL?
Let me get that video for you, bud. So Ralph, hold up. I got what you want. I got what you need. All right, here we go. Hold up. Let me put the video up for you. Oh. The way everybody can see what Makai Lemon looked like.
Makai, who's one NFL player you model your game after or look up to?
I probably say Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know, type of grit he plays with. You know, type of way he can have a positive impact. You know, on the team without the ball in his hands.
Makai.
It was weird. It was kind of menacing. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all know." It was smooth. It was like a pimp mixed with like a UFC fighter. I don't know. I was like, it felt. Listen, that was so odd. What question did I ask you?
You asked me where he's from.
And then immediately I was like, wait, hold on. I saw the kid at Los Alamitos High School.
I know
exactly where he's from. I thought he was from, I was like, is he from the Bay Area? Is he from Florida? Like, what is this? That's not Southern California. I tell you that much. I don't know what that is. And then when they were doing one of the drills at the combine, he wasn't paying attention. And then he did the drill wrong. So the interview isn't going to give me pause unless if we get into if I had him in a private meeting and he's like that, I'm going to be like, all right, I got to ask him some other questions outside because I need to know who you like. He presented himself in a way that now now I'm wondering, I got to find out more about who you are. I got to find more about, and granted, I tell my son this, my middle son, because we live in a society where people say, you get to be whoever you want to be. Nobody should judge you. Nobody should judge a book by its cover. And all those things are true. But we still do it. It's the truth. If you show up, if I call you and I ask you to come fix my internet, right? And you show up and you are disheveled, nails dirty, this and I don't know what you know, but I'm like, is this somebody I want in my house? And granted, we get fooled by polished people every day. We get fooled by people who look the part and can't do the part every single day. So yes, you should not. You should judge people by their merits. However, that's not reality a lot of times. And so with Makai, this makes me now ask questions. I'm like, are we dealing with Keon Coleman all over again? Or was he just feeling in the moment and, he's so focused and locked in and that's how it projects out front, or maybe he was a little bit nervous. Those are the questions that I'm going to ask in the private meetings. And if I get, because the film is very good, the hands are good, the route running is good, all those things, very good. So if the person and the things that I hear from the strength staff, from his teachers, from all these things match, I got no problem drafting him where I think I should.
Yeah, I think it reminded me of two things. Number one, predatory mannerisms, right? Like the way a predator stalks. You ever go to the zoo and you walk up to a cage where a lion is, and it's just walking back and forth on the glass, just walking back and forth, or you go up to a snake cage and it's like raised up in front of the glass and just moving back and forth like the snake from Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Just locking eyes. Where he's like trying to dominate the situation, right? Where he's trying to assert dominance, and that's certainly a choice. But the other thing it reminded me of is like when somebody accidentally picks up the wrong water bottle. I might got a little MDMA in there. All of a sudden, you're up there on the podium, and you're like, "Man, this podium feels nice." It was very noticeable. And I wish him the best. The person he compared himself to, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's a character.
Yep.
And he fell in the draft hard because his production wasn't great at USC.
He didn't run fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But if you've ever been around Amon-Ra St. Brown in any capacity, that is somebody who in another time and age would have conquered 1,000 square miles and had 1 million heads on a pike. He is a killer, an absolute killer. And maybe that's what Mekhi Lemon was trying to project. But you got to remember, Amon-Ra St. Brown was like a 6th round pick. Exactly. Maybe not the best person to model yourself after.
Wait, he was a 6th round pick, or he was a 4th round pick?
You might be right. I just remember he dropped for sure.
He definitely did. All right. But now we got to switch gears for a minute. We got something fun coming up for you guys up next. So keep it locked here on Unafraid Show. All right. It is fun time here. This is the first time that we've done this. We are going to do a blind ranking of the best pass catchers from college football that are headed to the NFL draft. And by pass catchers, we're talking tight ends and we're talking wide receivers. So we are going to do a blind ranking of the 10. And Ralph is going to give me guys, and I'll put them where I think they belong. But I'm a little bit nervous because I feel like Ralph's going to be a little bit tricky.
I'll try not to trip you up too bad here. Okay. We'll see how you do. But this is not to set it out there for everybody else. These are not the top 10 consensus pass catchers going from college football to the pros. These are some of the consensus top guys, but a couple of them maybe bubble day 2, day 3 guys, and we'll see if George overranks them and has enough space at the end. We'll see if we can surprise them a little bit. Let's start off with one of my favorite pass catchers in all of college football the last 2 years, actually played in the Big 12 and dominated. At times dominated, but has kind of been forgotten based on the level of success that his team had in the wake of going to the national championship, and that is Texas Christian University's Eric McAllister. We are talking about somebody who is 6'3", 205, and at times was completely dominant. If you had a top 10, where would you slot him from the get-go?
Top 10. All right, I need to have a lot of room. I'm going to put him at number 9.
Okay. All right, Eric McAllister at number 9. All right, so moving on. Our next receiver is actually somebody who got his boss's boss fired.
Ooh.
Very, very talented college football player. Perhaps somebody who was underutilized but has played with a very good quarterback, another Big 12 player, and that is tight end Michael Trigg.
Ooh, I am excited about Michael Trigg. I am excited about Michael Trigg for a couple reasons. One, he's a very good athlete. Started out at USC, I believe, and then went over to Baylor. But also, when he had the incident with the AD this year, where the AD grabbed him and said, like, he didn't react. It showed some professionalism. He went through the right channels to do things right. So that gives me a level of maturity. I think he's going to have a successful NFL career. I'm going to go with him at 7.
Any concerns that he went to 3 schools? Any concerns that he was even in a beef with his athletic director in the first place?
Being that the athletic director got fired and resigned, and he was completely in the wrong, no, that doesn't bother me. But the question about him being at 3 different schools, that really doesn't bother me in this day and age. Unless you were a player that was like Bear Alexander, who went to Georgia, then to USC. If he had come out this year, it would bother me. But, I'd have questions about character and if he's really changed and all of this stuff. And, went to 4 different high schools, I think, too. Who's advising him and everything else. But him going back to school, that doesn't bother me. It won't bother me as much. But it's the same thing with Trig. I'm fine with him.
Okay, so we're gonna test you a little bit. We got the 7 slot filled. We got the 9 slot filled. We're gonna go with a sub 6 footer. I know you don't love the short guys, but this is somebody who is very consistent. 3 consecutive years, averaging about 14.7 yards per catch. We just talked about him. He got a little bit of attitude. Mr. Mekhi Lemon from USC, 13 all-purpose touchdowns this last season for the Trojans.
Ooh, we're getting in dangerous territory here because I can't put him below Trig. His production is just crazy. I'm going to go with 6 for Mekhi Lemon.
Anything about him, his play on the field, that concerns you? I know we just talked about
outside of being a short king, no.
Personality.
Outside of being a short king, no, because he's a tremendous route runner. I do question. I need to know his 40 time. If he ends up running 4.4, I'm completely good with everything. But it is highly concerning because he's not like Zachariah Branch, where he's a super quick twitch athlete, and I know he's going to excel at the slot. But I'm not 100% sure. Well, actually, I don't think he's an outside wide receiver, which does lower the value some. But he's a baller. I would take him. I would explore other options first.
All right, so my next guy that I want to throw your way made potentially the most athletic play, maybe the best play outside of Fernando Mendoza's diving touchdown in the national championship of the entire Daniels? Year. No, not CJ Daniels. I'm talking about Mr. Omar Cooper Jr., who spent all 4 years at Indiana. He was not one of the James Madison transfers. And this year, with Fernando Mendoza, 69 catches, 937 yards, and 13 receiving touchdowns, and a ring. He got that ring. Where would you slot Omar Cooper Jr.?
Ooh. I'm going to go
6'2",
Omar
so
Cooper
borderline.
Jr. I'm going to put him number 3. Number 3. Because there are only 2 people that I want to put above him, and I don't know if I can. Actually, hold up. I'm going to put him number 4. I'm going to put him number 4 and hope that I get these 3 guys. Hopefully I get them. If not, somebody's going to be misranked.
Well, let's throw a wrench your way, and let's go with his teammate. Let's go with Elijah Surratt. For some people, this is a top 2 round receiver, and they might think he's a better pro prospect than Omar Cooper because he's got a couple inches on him, right? And I believe
he reminds me of Mike Evans a little bit. He's just not as fast as Mike Evans because Mike Evans was a 4.3 guy. I like him. Damn. Now I wish that I had my number 9 spot available, but I'm going to put him in number 10.
Interesting thing about Elijah Surratt is he dominated at James Madison. I believe he's leveled up twice. He dominated at James Madison, and then he averaged 18 yards a catch his first year at Indiana. Second year at Indiana, 15 touchdowns to lead the team, and I believe led all of Division One in touchdowns. So it'll be interesting to see if that translates. This will be his third time making a big jump in competition. Fourth, if you count the
Ralph,
obvious high
wait,
school to
hold
college.
up. You just changed my mind. Is number 5 available?
I believe so.
Yes.
So. We're
gonna put him at number 5.
Okay, so our current standings, we got at number 4, your highest ranked player is Omar Cooper Jr.
Mm-hmm.
At number 5, we got Elijah Surratt. At number 7, I believe you had Michael Trigg.
Yep.
Is that correct? And
correct.
Then at
number
9, you had Eric McAllister.
Yep.
Where did we have Mekhi Lemon?
6.
6. Okay. So we're running out of room in the middle. We got some hedging going on. Let's switch positions and let's go to the absolute freak athlete that started his career. Some will say maybe even made Diego Pavia. Started his career at Texas A&M before going to New Mexico State and then ending his career at Vanderbilt. Mr. Eli Stowers, one-time quarterback, believe it or not, who had 769 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns last year. But anytime a big play needed to be made, it seemed to always be him. He tested off the charts at the combine. Where would you rank Eli Stowers in your blind ranking?
I feel good about this. Number 8.
Okay.
Right behind Trigg. I think he's a good player. I think Trigg's upside is better. Yeah, I'm excited.
So we still got last place open. All right. So next up on the list, we got to go to your rival. They got a freak show who some people love. Todd McShay loves, and that's Mr. Denzel Boston.
Yo, he's a dude. He is a dude. I am going to go with, I'm excited about his future tremendously. I am going to go with Denzel Boston because I know you left some people out this list. I'm going to go with Denzel Boston. Knowing you, Ralph Amsden, I'm going to go with Denzel Boston number 3.
Wow. Okay. Shout out to Denzel Boston. Some people think he should be the first receiver taken.
Yes.
Some people. Some are saying
they wear purple. But I can make a case for that. I can make a case for that.
All right. Well, it's time to make a case for your guy, the most athletic man
number
on
1.
The planet.
Number 1. Just say his name.
Kenyon Sadiq. You would if you needed a pass catcher in this draft above everybody, that is who you would select.
Yes.
Okay.
And
who would you compare him to?
George Kittle. He is George Kittle, but more athletic. Because he finishes blocks the same way that George Kittle does. So I'm going Kenyon Sadiq, numero uno. He is my number 1. He is my safest bet out of all of these players. Safest. That I'm going to get a 10-year NFL career out of him doing some good things.
So the 2 spots we have left, we got what, 2 and 10?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I'm saving one. I'm saving my number 2 because I know there's no way you left this guy out.
You are correct, and we'll go that direction right off the bat, and that is Mr. Jordan Tyson. Some health concerns, certainly some health concerns. An absolute freak show of a ball tracker. He's got the vertical. He's got the strength. Some say he cheated on the bench press at the combine. But he is somebody who started off at Colorado. We talked about him a lot on our previous podcast.
You were the
Pac-12
one who
Apostles.
was, dude, you've been on the Jordan Tyson train since Colorado, and Deion ran him up out of there. And we were like, what is he doing? And and now he's the top 10 pick. All right. Okay, so now I'm upset because knowing you, I know who you put the last person as, and now I'm screwed up. Because I knew it. I knew I should have saved the spot for them. So I'm going to put Jordan Tyson at number 2.
Okay. All right.
And now I'm going to have to put this dude at 10, and he should probably be at like 6.
Mr.
Or 5.
Carnell Tate.
No!
Carnell
Tate. I'm good. Carnell Tate at 10. I'm good. I am perfectly fine with Carnell Tate at 10.
Really?
I would switch him at 9 and 10.
Now I got to guess who you think I was holding out on you with.
I talked about him in the show already.
A Mr. Oh, you know where I live. You know what city I live in.
Yes, you live outside of Charlotte.
Yeah, and this man played right here in this city. When I first moved here, he was a high school football star here in the city, Mr. KC Concepcion.
Yes.
NC State Wolfpack wide receiver who made his way down to Texas A&M.
Oh, God, I'm so happy you did not put him on the list, bro, because I'd have had to tear the whole thing up.
You don't want to open and close the show?
Yes.
I love this man. He's a bum.
Exactly.
Nope. Instead, we're dissing who might be the first pass catcher taken in Carnell Tate. What do you think the odds are? He's the first guy off the board as far as any wide receivers at tight ends?
Low.
You think so?
I think because of his 40, it's going to be a little bit low. Even if he turns out to be the best one, I think that they're going to give him a little bit of a knock, and I think that that's going to push Jordan Tyson up.
Do you know what my issue with Carnell Tate, and it might not have anything to do with him, but you and I talked about it on this show quite a bit. It never felt like him and Jeremiah Smith went off in the same game.
Yeah, they had like one game where they both went off, and it was against a bad football team. So, yeah, that's a little bit highly questionable. But you guys, though, this is the Unafraid Show. I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden. Make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. Yeah, and peace out. We'll catch you guys later.